Okay, so now we're going to show analysis of a body cam transcript, looking at how it stacks up against policy using just the document inside the work tab, where the large language model is just providing generalized knowledge about a policy, and then we'll switch over to the web tab, where it should be pulling a reference from the web and providing that reference. So Chief, while I get this set up, you want to take it away?
Sure. I think that there are times when agencies are in a situation where their officers are involved in a shooting, and it's very rare for their agency, or maybe once every few years. And of course, you have a policy of sorts, or you're working through a policy, but you want to just kind of see how does my transcript stand up? Am I going to be looked at in different areas within the media? Are there any things that I can look at that are glaring with this policy that I'm missing? And I'm asking the AI to just look at this and put a second set of eyes on this shooting. So we take the video, we run it through, we get the transcript of it, we download the transcript, which you can watch another video on how that's done. We're happy to show you, or we can put that in the comments too. But you get this transcript, you put the transcript as a file, and then you compare that with just saying, hey, what does this look like with common knowledge of police use of force policies in the LLM or Copilot in general? And what is good and what maybe was a violation of policy that could be looked at or frowned upon. And so that's thrown in. And you're doing this right now on the work system, or are you doing that on the web?
This is on the work tab.
So what does that mean? It means it's
Yeah, being on the work tab means that we're grounded in the data, that we're not going out to the web, we're not looking for external information. We're just asking based on the document and the generalized knowledge of the large language model on everything it's been trained on what proper procedure would look like. And you can see here, Chief, I mean, you're the long-standing police officer here, but it seems to me that these are pretty reasonable outputs considering what was captured in the 4 minutes or so of transcripts.
right. And why would we want to do it on the work is if we want to keep this secure. Maybe we're not able to release body cam yet. Maybe there's something with prosecution, something going on where you're not able to get that body cam released. So you don't want to be putting that out on the web because, hey, if I start doing a search against this on the web, I've compromised the integrity of this body cam footage and the transcript of the body cam. So I keep it internally on work, then I know it's safe and I can pull out this analysis. Now we just want to tell you this was a body cam that of a recent shooting that was in DC. It was nothing that we're trying to look at or pick on or anything. It was just a matter of grabbing a body cam to give you an example of what it looks like. And so that's the transcription. And so fire away, explain what happened here.
Yep, and again, we're in an enterprise system, so we have data protection. Even on our web tab, we'll have that, and that's just another cautionary comment around shadow IT and people using systems that kind of bring your own AI from home. You really need to establish policies and use AI that's within your enterprise just to provide some of that additional protection. So now let's switch over to the web, and we'll run the analysis of the body, the analysis of the transcript again. I've already ran it once, so I'll click on this just to rerun it. But same key, right? Analyze this transcript, and it's the same document. Provide suggestion on where it followed standard use of force policy and where it did not. So slightly different the way I worded it, but we got a very similar output. So verbal warnings and assessment of threat, immediate threat were followed. Where it did not follow, communication coordination, deadly force, de-escalation, and then it actually goes farther to provide recommendations on where to improve, and then it's referencing Department of Justice policy on the use of force. So again, it's going out now and it's providing a reference back, which is a little different than the way we did it inside the work tab. If we had this policy inside the work tab, then we could ask it to do that and see if we get back like against your own policy, your internal policy. So that's something else that we can try in a future video. But I think that you'll find that this is super valuable not to be deterministic around whether or not a person violated a policy or didn't violate the policy, but just to put another set of eyes on it, get through the data very quickly to at least provide that lead that says maybe you should look here. To Chief's point earlier when we were chatting about this, okay, you might have a policy against the use of profanity, but does that determine whether or not there was lawful use of legal force? Probably not. People in high stress situations, they may use bad language. That probably doesn't create a violation that ends up in an officer termination or that kind of thing.
And the other thing I want to say here is you notice that this says did not follow standard use of policy, and it comes down to de-escalation efforts. And one of the things that it's talking about is, well, there's not much from that transcript that's really indicating significant efforts of de-escalation. And that's a big buzzword right now. So that's something that you're going to want to address as saying or articulating if this has been justified as officer, engaged in a lethal force encounter and it was a justified use of lethal force, then how am I going to explain what de-escalation efforts weren't used? And so we can start to talk about the time and the essence and, whether there's reactionary gap or whatever other factors there are, we can start to talk about that. And if the police department's at the forefront of that, it's less likely to blow up in their faces later. And that's really important for us to be able to do. And then the other part of that is, it's interesting that it says, the transcript does not provide clear indication of whether deadly force was used. And so that's just kind of interesting because we know that it was a officer involved shooting. So again, all of these are litmus tests that you kind of have to step back, person in the loop, and go, okay, yeah, but this is how we'll explain this if, what happened, or maybe we need to say, and there ultimately shots were fired and the person sustained 2 gunshots or whatever it was as part of our description of the situation. And it may seem so obvious, but again, this is a linear thinking system that, it needs to have all of those I's dotted and T's crossed.
Great. Thanks, Chief.